10 seconds. You're live.
Okay. Thank you. We will call this special meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order. Would you kindly stand and join us for a pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic which stands
one
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is an informational session, a presentation in the hope of explaining what the school bus stop arm program is all about. And I'll call on, let's see who, we'll call on Ray first. What's Ray's last name?
Baldwin.
Well, Ray Baldwin. Ray Baldwin.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, member of the Board of Aldermen. My name is Raymond Baldwin Jr. I work in the Mayor Loretti's office as the administrative assistant for special projects. I'd like to start by asking how many of you have personally witnessed a car pass a stopped school bus with red lights and flashing arm extended? Probably just about everybody. Well, in just 1 week alone, this past January, our school bus drivers reported 581 violations of the Stop School Bus Law. That's right, 581 in just 1 week, an average of 116 per day and over 18,000 during the course of an entire school year. Let that sink in for a minute. 18,000 times our children were put at risk by dangerous drivers. I personally witnessed 2 different drivers blow past a clearly lit school bus twice in successive stops right here on Nean Street. The city of Shelton has approximately 60 school bus drivers who perform 300 runs per day, 180 school days a year. That's 54,000 runs per school year and not one fatality, not one. That's pretty remarkable given the number of reported violations I just told you about. And the reason we've been so fortunate is because our school bus drivers, being fully aware of the dangerous situation posed by distracted drivers and flagrant violators, take extraordinary precautions to ensure the safety of our children every day at every bus stop. But for their conscientious efforts, every day at every single stop, we might be having a more dire conversation this evening. But ladies and gentlemen, we need a plan and a tool to help them. Just so you know, Shelton isn't unique in this regard. As you will hear shortly from Brad McDowell of Bus Patrol, this is a national problem. But now we have a plan and a tool, and the good part is the city of Shelton won't have to pay a dime for it. In fact, revenue generated from the program you're going to hear about will in fact actually help fund this and many other public safety initiatives in the city of Shelton. In June of 2024, the Connecticut State Legislature, by statute, authorized municipalities to institute a program which will help us combat this problem. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to Brad McDowell from Bus Patrol, who will walk you through the program we hope you and the Board of Aldermen will support. Thank you. Right. So I can follow along.
All right. Good evening. Thank you, Alder members. I very much appreciate your time this evening spent on this very important issue. I myself sat on the city council in Hamden for 2 terms, where, much like Ray, I came into the knowledge that buses were being passed at an alarming rate. The old program that allowed us to put cameras on school buses did so in a way that manually folks that worked for the town had to go through those tapes, pull out infractions, build cases around them, build evidence packages. They also had to get affidavits from the bus drivers. It was an impossibly difficult program. And in additional, when those tickets were issued, they were criminal infractions. So that meant that we had to go through the court, and our court systems, quite frankly, just couldn't, it wasn't a priority for them. So we found that these tickets were not being pursued. What we did is over a number of years, we worked to change the law with the state legislature to allow these things to be automated with new technology. It's new technology to Connecticut, but it's not new to bus patrol. It's not new to America. Our program, we call her AVA, Automated Violation Detection. And AVA has been out there, sorry, Automated Violation Analysis. And AVA has been out here since 2017, learning what infractions look like and what they don't. And so, you know, the most important thing that AVA can do that the old LiDAR and radar programs can't is to be able to automatically separate multiple instances that happen at once across up to 8 lanes of traffic. So we can see individual instances, we can differentiate between a car and another object passing the school bus. And so we're cutting out a lot of the noise, we're cutting out a lot of the problems, the nonsense that someone had to go through and review. And then before we send it to local law enforcement, we have 2 humans at bus patrol review every single infraction. So someone at bus patrol watches the video, decides that it's a good infraction. A second person at bus patrol has to watch that video, decide it's a good infraction, and then it comes to your law enforcement for review. It doesn't have to be an officer, it can be, but it can be anybody that your police department chooses. It can be a civilian, it can be a volunteer to go through and watch those videos. We only send tickets to folks that you say yes to. So someone at law enforcement takes between 30 and 90 seconds per ticket. Most departments spend less than an hour a week on this. They log in, they click in, they watch the video, they hit yes or no. When they hit yes, and only when they hit yes, we print, we mail, and we handle payment processing for you. And as Ray said, a large amount of the proceeds come back to the community. And in the state of Connecticut, you can use that for public safety initiatives. That's a pretty broad allowance by the state of Connecticut. It does have to be used for public safety, but what that means is up to you as long as it's going towards public safety. So we've seen that take a number of different forms. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I did put together a little bit of an FAQ for you. I know it's a little bit thick, but we get a lot of really important questions from community members. And I wanted to make sure that if you have questions from community members, you can feel free to pass them off my contact information. It is on the front of this page, and I have cards with me as well. However, I also wanted you all to be equipped and to be able to have conversations as you see fit. So these are the most common questions that we receive. And so I'm happy to go through any of them that you like. But to boil down the most important point, this program is completely for free. In the instance that every single driver in Shelton learns the lesson in the first few months and they never pass a school bus again, and we never hand out another infraction in the town of Shelton ever again, basically the fee that can only be paid out of program revenue would roll over to the next month, and that continues until the end of the contract term, at which point any amount due would be absolved. So I know that's a complicated way of saying that, yes, we do get paid out of program revenue, and I'm happy to dive into those numbers if you'd like, but we do get paid out of program revenue and only out of program revenue. It is only people who break the law and risk student safety that are paying for this program. And if that doesn't happen, we don't get paid. We know that folks are passing the stop arm. It was estimated, actually it was counted last year. You'll see on this first page here after the cover sheet, the National Association of State Directors of Pupil Transportation Services, they counted over 45 million school bus passings, illegal school bus passings in 2024 alone. This is a massive issue. In Bridgeport, where, Bus Patrol currently runs the only program that is compliant with the new law, we have seen so far this school year, 11,000 verified infractions. We've seen 14,000, but sometimes things happen, right? Sometimes there's a box truck in the way. We don't send people those tickets, right? Sometimes it's hard to see or the sun is in the way, right? That's why we have a human review those tickets, because we don't want to send tickets that aren't real, that are, we don't, this is not a gotcha. This is not a money grab, right? This is it. The program has to go out with integrity. The tickets have to be real infractions. People either negligently or intentionally passing the school bus. And so we work rigorously to make sure that those are the tickets that are going out and only the tickets going out. So 14,000 illegal school bus passings in Bridgeport this year. We've actually sent 11,000 tickets, which is, it's massive to think about just since September when school started. And so we will see, over the course of the first year of the program, we'll see about a 40% reduction in the number of illegal school bus passings by the end of that first year. And you can expect to see about a 10 to 20% additional reduction year over year for the following 3 to 4 years. In addition to the stop arm camera and all of these services and the back end solution that we offer for you, we do all of the back end work on the stop arm program for you. We also offer, if you'd like it, free internal cameras, free external cameras, and free panic buttons for the bus drivers. Those are things that we offer to you for free, because while this may be a financial windfall in the first year, right, it will continue to generate revenue for the town. But what's really important long-term is that this program is implemented fairly and consistently, that it remains on every single bus, right? Every single bus in perpetuity. Because when you start pulling off cameras, or when some buses are out there without cameras, right, you start to see the cracks through the system, the infractions start to come back up again. We don't want that. This is about student safety. So we want you at the end of the contract to say, yeah, we want to stay with Bus Patrol. So what we do is we invest really heavily in other parts of the partnership to make sure that even though this may not be the financial windfall 5 years from now that it is today, that you continue to want to be able to partner with us and continue to work with us to enhance student safety in a number of ways. So those are just some of the free perks that we do. We also offer assemblies and student programs around school bus safety, road safety. We did assemblies in Bridgeport this past October for School Bus Safety Week to teach students what the danger zone is and how to stay safe when crossing the street and getting on and off the school bus. So I am happy to answer any questions you have about the program. I appreciate your time this evening. And thank you so much for your consideration. This is a vitally important issue. If you talk to bus drivers, it is one of the, if not the most risky part of transporting students. So I appreciate you all taking the mantle and taking this seriously. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brad. I'll start the question. First, with a statement. This program is not about revenue. This program is about student safety. And I think that we all agree on, we don't want any of our children to get hurt in any way.
Absolutely.
And so I'm wondering, I imagine that the information about this meeting, about this informational meeting, and about the public hearing at 7 o'clock was disseminated to the Board of Education. And I'm just surprised that, that there's nobody here in attendance from there, but I imagine they're fully supportive. I hope they're fully supportive of this program.
I get two responses when I introduce this program to folks. The first is, it doesn't make sense. It's too good to be true. How do you do it for free? And I explain, right? There's always infractions. There's always infractions that produce the revenue, right? The second is, well, this is a no-brainer, right? Why would anyone be opposed to this, right? And so I think the reason that a lot of folks, may not feel intent, and what I've seen in other communities is people don't feel that this is a very controversial topic. I know that some automated traffic enforcement programs can be more of a controversial topic. But when you look at news articles, I can tell you news articles, and you can look at them yourself, news articles recently that have been posted around our other programs in Providence, Rhode Island, North Providence, Salem and Peabody, Massachusetts, Bridgeport, Connecticut. When you look at the news articles that come out about these programs, the comments are massively in favor. It's hard to find an issue like this where folks are so overwhelmingly supportive. People want the fine to be higher than the $250 that it currently is. People want to see license penalties, points, or even suspensions for passing the school bus multiple times. So folks are really, really one-sided on this matter that, when it comes to student safety, right? Bus Patrol is able to do this in a way that it protects privacy of community members. We're not capturing faces, we're capturing license plates, right? And we're doing it equitably. We're doing it in every community, every single bus. And we're even going to cover a few spares for you so that if you ever have to pull a bus out of rotation for maintenance or some other reason, you'll have a spare ready to go so that those bus stops stay covered every single stop, every single day. So I think folks are generally supportive and don't feel the need to.
The questions probably will come up undoubtedly when somebody receives a ticket, and that's when they'll ask all kinds of questions. However, I want to point out that Ray Baldwin is going to be Shelton's program director for the Stop Arm program, and I just want to be sure that we agree on the procedure when somebody passes the bus and you get the information, you got all the videos and everything else, how the process will take place and how Ray will fit into that.
Yeah. So we have, like I said, we have 2 humans at Bus Patrol that review it after APA captures an infraction. So that takes 3 to 5 days. So I'd say within a week, you have them automatically uploading into what we call Alert Bus. Alert Bus is our online system where Ray or other folks who are appointed to review citations would log in, and then, it'll just be a list of citations, right? You click, you watch the video, and then you hit yes or no. It's that simple. We do ask that they're reviewed within a timely manner. These tickets have to go out, I think it's within 90 days. So, it doesn't have to be an immediate everyday thing. If you spend 30 to 45 minutes once a week doing it, you're never going to fall behind. It is.
Why don't you walk us through the specifics of the determination process when somebody passes the bus and they're alleged to have committed a violation?
Sure.
How it will be determined?
So it's determined by passing the stop sign or the stop arm of the school bus. So theoretically, by the letter of the law, right? Once those lights on the back of the bus turn from amber to red, you are not legally allowed to pass that bus. Passing that bus is against the law. And Shelton would be within their legal rights to ticket anyone, regardless of circumstances, who passes those red lights. However, it's more nuanced, right? Like I talked about before, if somebody is blocked by a box truck, they shouldn't be ticketed for that, right? That's not a reasonable, they didn't intend to, nor were they negligent in passing that school bus, right? So what we do is we establish what's called business rules with you. Once we agree on that we're going to move forward and we're going to work together, we sit down with folks like Ray and anyone else who wishes to be a stakeholder in this conversation to talk about how you want to implement the program. So for some people, that looks like as soon as those lights are red, we believe that that's an infraction and we believe that that should be a ticket. For some folks, we only want to see infractions once the stop arm is fully extended. Right? Because once those lights turn red, the stop arm starts extending. So theoretically, by the time that stop arm is fully extended, you've had a few seconds to slow down and stop. Consider that your yellow light, right? So it's up to you how you want to, implement, and
We're drifting from my point.
okay.
What I want to do is I want to follow this closely somebody passes the bus, the camera takes the picture.
Yeah.
Then it's reviewed by you.
Yes,
Stop arm first.
yes,
Then you send it to Ray
yes.
next for his review, and he's the determinant. And he'll come back and say, yes, I agree, the violation exists, and then the citation is, the summons is sent.
We see that in real time. Yep.
And conversely, when either the person pays or they don't pay, or if this thing extends out in a litigation or something, Ray, I want to see Ray to be the final authority to say it's we're proceeding on this or we're dismissing it.
Mhm.
Is that agreeable?
So the person, so if, now when somebody receives a ticket, right? They have the right to a hearing if they believe that they've been wrongfully ticketed. We take a lot of steps to make sure that people don't get tickets that are illegitimate, right? People are still entitled to a hearing should they want one. We find that those hearings are less than 5%. Less than 5% of people will request hearings on average. However, for those 5% or less that do request hearings, it is up to you to establish and for the mayor to appoint folks who can hear those hearings. And it's up to you. Works very similar to a parking authority, right? So I see you have 1 hour parking out here, right? So that would probably be a ticket that's issued at a local level by your law enforcement. That's not a criminal ticket. That sticks with the car with the registration. And so you have a parking authority that sees through how to manage that. And so we can plug right into that. So you do need your mayor to appoint a hearing officer, maybe 2 if they're more of a part-time person. It cannot be the same person who's reviewing infractions. That is important. So if Ray is going to be reviewing infractions and saying yes, no to tickets, he cannot also be the person who hears those hearings. So it can be, you know, anyone who the mayor appoints. It is recommended that it is not somebody from the police department, since that is the entity that is issuing the tickets.
So that Ray will outline the administrative procedures that's going to be followed, who's going to be what, who the hearing officers are that the mayor appoints, and feed that back to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're here to work with you. So, you know, when you decide who your hearing people are going to be, when you have a program in place, if you have a scheduling system that you want us to work with, we'll field the phone calls, we'll take the letters, we'll schedule these things for you if you'd like. Some folks like to do it in-house. Some folks like, yeah, bus patrol, just handle it, schedule it. Here's how we do it. So that's up to you. But we're here to help and be a partner in this beyond.
I do have a question. First, I applaud this program, and I think it's a vital program for safety, and I'm glad we're doing this. One question I did have is that what is the error rate? I mean, I've heard some things in the news, a man in Missouri that says he was never in New York, and
Yeah.
you know, so how do you defend that, or how,
Yeah.
is it a high probability that happens, or is it due to license plate blocking? What's it due to?
So there's a couple things that could be about. I haven't heard about that specific scenario, but I've heard of other stories like that. And there's a couple things that could be, right? One example might be a situation where you're not the one driving your car, right? You've lent your car to someone else. Sure. In that event, you know, let's say your son or daughter was driving your car, they passed the bus, you want them to be responsible for the ticket. There is a transfer of liability that you can work with to transfer that ticket to the person who's driving the car. You know, it's hard with our technology. There are legacy programs out there, LiDAR and radar programs, that can't differentiate between a car and other objects, right? So if a bird flies by the stop arm camera while the stop arm is extended, it's going to take a video and it's going to say, hey, something passed the stop arm, right? And it was up to somebody else, right, a human, to go in there and pull any violations from that footage, which that old legacy system said, hey, something passed. My assumption is that there was either a misreading of a license plate, right, which we don't see with Ava. Ava reads the license plate and tells us, and then we have 2 humans verify Okay, I see the picture here. I see Ava here. Yes, these two license plates match. And we have two humans do that at bus patrol before your law enforcement officer does it as well, right? So I think we've largely worked those out. That's not to say that things don't happen, right? That's not to say that somebody doesn't have a fake license plate on their car, right? In an instance where we find a vehicle to be stolen or a license plate to be stolen, or if somebody has created a Florida license plate with, you know, ABC 123, and then a man with Florida license plate 123 ABC gets that ticket, right? That's something we'd be able to establish, and we would obviously not enforce that ticket. So there are avenues and ways to go about it. But if somebody was to say, hey, my vehicle was in Florida at that time, there's no way somebody must have stolen my license plate number. That does happen.
Thank you. And another question I have is I quickly read your brochure as far as the camera. So if someone doesn't have a front plate and they speed on by, it also will capture the rear?
It will. So it's a 360 camera. I think on page, you'll see the camera on page, it's on page 4. And there's an even better shot of it on the last page, page 7. You'll see a picture of that bus and you'll see that there's multiple cameras on that device. Now that device right there is installed just behind the stop sign on the school bus, and it's a 180-degree camera. So when tickets go out, even when tickets go out with 3 photos of the infraction. Their car approaching the bus, next to the bus, and past the bus, right? And so you can see sort of the evidence in the ticket with those 3 photos. And in addition to that, the ticket also includes a link to the video, by the way. So that is part of how we keep those appeal rates so low. I should say hearing rates so low. But yes, it is a 180-degree camera. It will capture either the front, the rear, or both license plates, whatever's available.
And one last question. I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing.
Oh, please,
As far as, I would think insurance companies, automobile insurance companies would love this program.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned some people say, oh, let's implement the point system.
Yeah.
Has any state done that?
So because this is an automated program and because it's attached to the license plate and not to the individual, it's not a criminal ticket, it's a civil ticket. So unfortunately, this comes with no points, right? It comes at a $250 cost as opposed to a $450 cost that would come if a police officer were to witness somebody doing it, right? That would be a criminal infraction. And it goes through a local hearing process like a parking authority as opposed to state, a court, motor vehicle court. So, because of that civil nature of the ticket, there won't be any insurance. There won't be any consequences to anyone's insurance. The insurance company won't know about it because again, it's attached to the car. It's not the driver. So,
Like red light cameras, I guess they tax the car to.
If that's how they work, it would be identical to that, where you get the ticket, it attaches to your registration, so you have to pay it if you own the car, but they can't show that you didn't, that you were in the car, so it doesn't really impact your insurance. You don't get points, and it's a balance, right? Because while we would like to see drivers being held accountable for that, right? It is the balance of being able to ticket every time someone passes a school bus, right? If our goal is to reduce infractions, if our goal is to reduce the number of school buses that are illegally passed in Shelton, we want to make sure that people know if I pass that yellow school bus, I'm going to get a ticket, no exceptions. The only way to do that is to automate it, make it a civil infraction, and follow the license plate. Yeah.
No. Bernie, any question?
I'm not sure if this is the right venue or not for the question, but what is the cost to equip a bus?
Sure. So the internal cost, I would have to go back. It fluctuates. I don't know. I don't know the internal cost. We have a finance team that works to make sure that, we're within our bounds there. And I mean that in terms of, do we do a 5-year contract or can we offer something shorter because of the investment that we've made? I don't know the number per bus and what it costs to install. It's largely going to depend on, do you want all the internals and externals in the panic button? Or do you have internals that you like and you'd only like us to install new buses as you refresh, right? I'm sorry, I wish I had an answer to that question. I can tell you what our fees are that we take out of the violator funded program, but I don't know our internal costs. Yeah, I don't know our internal costs.
Guard then. You have X year investment, how does with regard to the fines, how is that?
Sure. So it's $250 per fine that's collected. So every time somebody pays $250, right? What Bus Patrol charges out of that program is $250 per bus per month, and then $65 per ticket paid. So you don't pay every time we're not docking the program every time a ticket is mailed. We only take a fee whenever we're successful in collecting that payment, right? So essentially, to put it in simpler terms, we keep the first ticket, right? So once a bus tickets one person, that bus is paid for the month. And then after that, we keep about $65 of every ticket paid. You get the remaining $185. I think if I'm doing my math right there, 185, 65 after that first ticket. And that's every month.
There's no penalty to us if there's if all of a sudden everybody comes to epiphany and says, oh, no more passing the buses.
Exactly. And so there's no fee there. Now, let's say the month of August, there's no camp, there's no nothing, your buses aren't on the road, right? Which is very unlikely. But let's say that the entire month of August, your buses aren't on the road. That $250 per bus per month would roll over to September. But let's say that the contract ended in August and we were renewing in September. At the end of the contract, the balance is wiped clean. You never owe anything. So it will roll over until the end of the contract, at which point it's gone. So if it's not violator funded, it's not paid.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And by the way, just so to hold me to it, right? It is written, it's written in a couple places here, but I want to put it, if somebody were to ask you for it, I'll let you know exactly where it's written as soon as I can find it. It's on page 4. How much does it cost?
There's no other questions. Frank?
Yeah, I have a question really quick. This is Porter. Before you
Porter
go,
McKinnon's on Zoom.
Yeah.
He has a
yeah,
question.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
You kind of alluded to the questions that I had. There is a contract. How long is the term of the contract typically?
5 years.
5 years. Okay. And as we retire buses and replace them, would you come out and fit the new buses and take the product that takes your cameras off the old buses? How does that work?
That's a good question because Sheldon owns their own buses, right? You're unique in Connecticut in that way. We will. So as you refresh your buses, I believe the transportation director said it's about 10% a year. So we will move cameras from the retired buses onto the new buses, or more often what we do is we just install the newest, latest camera, and then we bring the old ones back. And if we can refurbish them, we can. If not, we retire them. But your new buses will probably come along with brand new cameras as well. And we'll do that completely for free. And all of our techs that work for Bus Patrol, we never subcontract out. We have Bus Patrol employees that are trained rigorously on over 20 different kinds of buses down in Virginia. They have to certify on every single bus before they can go and work on installations or maintenance. So when you're getting somebody who knows the bus, if you guys decide that you want to go to propane or electric or what have you, we're going to have folks who are certified on those buses, on those models, that know exactly where every little wire, where every little knob is. And they're going to be able to do that in a way that respects whatever equipment you have on the bus. And then we clean and we leave the bus in pristine condition.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah, just a couple of things to add. One of the things that as part of the program is once this is approved by the Board of Aldermen, we're set to go forward. While they're in the midst of installing the cameras and so forth, they will help us with a publicity campaign in the community so that people will be made aware that this program will be going into effect. And once it is put into effect, the first 30 days, all we do is issue warnings. So the first 30 days, people get kind of a wake-up call as to this program being in effect. And then after that period of time, then bus patrol begins issuing tickets. Frank Scalzo is the director of operations for our school buses. He's the one that collected the data that I told you about earlier. And we've been down to the city of Bridgeport to observe their operation, how they review the cameras, what the process is that they follow. And Frank and I have agreed that he would have one of his bus drivers sit with me, at least in the beginning, so we both can clearly see what's going on and make sure that there's two sets of eyes on any violators, and so there's no mistakes made. So,
Well, how many children are we serving with this program?
well, you're going to serve the whole city of Shelton, which is, I think, somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 students.
5,000 students.
And like I said earlier, you've been very fortunate in that there hasn't been any incidents. Anecdotally, like I said before, I've witnessed 2 or 3 incidents, just flagrant violations. But for the diligence of the bus drivers who've done, are very, safety conscious and looking out for the kids rather than getting the license plate number of the violating vehicles, we've avoided, any serious accidents.
Very good. Does Frank want to add anything?
Frank, you got anything you want to add to it?
No, I'm good. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, there anything else that anybody wants to bring up, informational wise? There being none, a motion to adjourn the public information session would be in order. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordered. The public information session is completed at my watch is 8 minutes after 7. So now we will open the public hearing on the ordinance. The proposed ordinance on the school bus stop arm program and enforcement is now open. We will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance because we just said that previously. And we'll go to public hearing, and I see that the public is clamoring to get in.
Ask them to wait their turn, not to step over anybody.
It unfortunately, I don't know, the public will be heard, but only when they get a ticket. That's when they'll make their presence known. So I'll ask if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard on the ordinance. On the ordinance is school bus stop arm program and enforcement ordinance. I will note for the record that Alderman Simonetti has had an accident today and was going to be in attendance, but unfortunately ended up in the hospital. So wish him good luck and hope that he gets out soon. I believe we have 5 members in attendance. Alderman McKinnon is
Porter, Lorenzo, and Ben Perry texted me that he's on.
okay. So
3 on Zoom.
how many are on?
3.
3 are on
Zoom.
Zoom.
So 7 out of the 8.
So who's on Zoom?
Porter, everyone except Anthony
Okay.
is the only one.
Porter.
Yeah, but I want to get the names for the record.
Porter, Ben, and Lorenzo.
Okay, Porter, Ben, and Lorenzo. And the present is
Chris.
4 of us.
present,
Oh, yeah, present.
Chris
She can tell,
Belmacy,
she knows. We're
Eric
here.
McPherson, present.
John Anglis, present. Bernie Simons, present.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to be heard?
No.
I don't think anybody wishes to be heard. So, a motion.
I motion we adjourn.
To adjourn the
Second.
public hearing will be in order and so made. Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. This will This will be acted on at the next Board of Aldermen regular meeting.